Okay guys, here we go. Today we are going to be, the goal is to try and find the molar mass of butane. So butane is the chemical that we find inside of cigarette lighters. When we're looking at the butane lighter here, you can see, if we sort of hold it up, you can see the liquid inside. That liquid is the butane. The lighter looks a little bit funny because I broke the piece that actually sparks. But you'll notice when you look at it, see if I can focus it a little bit here. There's a little valve right at the top, and that's where the gas will come out. This is a phase diagram in action here. We have a lot of pressure inside, and that pressure is forcing the gas into a liquid so that we can fit a ton of it in a very small space. And then when you have the little trigger on the side here, when you push this, then it relieves the pressure. And when that pressure is relieved, the liquid can turn back into a gas. And that's what we would normally burn or light. And so our goal today is to try and find the molar mass of this particular chemical, which we call butane. So in order to do this, we are going to collect a sample of that butane and we're going to analyze it. So to collect the sample, I'm going to be collecting it in a graduated cylinder. However, we know that the graduated cylinder has other air inside of it right now, and so it's not going to be a pure sample. So what we need to do is we need to bubble it through water. So you see in the background here, we have a bucket full of water. We're going to fill this full of water, and then we're going to submerge the lighter, and we're going to release it so that it bubbles through the liquid and fills up our graduated cylinder. So the first thing that we want to do is get a mass of our lighter. So this one's actually not working very well. So over to the side here, I have a second lighter and I've done the same thing. So let's go ahead and record that mass. So we have 10.68 for the mass, the original mass of butane in our lighter. And so we're now, going to take this pink lighter here, and we're going to collect some of the gas. So let's go ahead and get this thing set up. So in order to do this, I think I'm going to step around to the other side of the camera here. And so we can kind of see how this works. So what we want to do is we want to take our water and we're just going to fill up the graduated cylinder so that there's no air in it. So we're gonna fill it, we're gonna try and fill it right to the very brim. I might spill a little bit and that's okay. I'm just letting a few of these air bubbles sort of get out of here. And now what you would normally do is you could put your hand over it and you can try and submerge it in that way, but we don't want to get any air in it. But there's actually an easier way, and it's kind of a fun way. We've talked about the power of the atmosphere around us, and so we could use the power of the atmosphere. So I just have a little piece of like plastic, but this would work with a piece of paper or anything like that. And I'm just gonna set the plastic on top here, and we could see that I made a little bit of a mess. I got one tiny little bubble in there I don't really like, so I'm gonna try and just get that out. Looks like it popped. We'll put a little bit more in. So I'm gonna just slide this little thing on here. We make a bit of a mess, but that's okay. Now, what's cool about this is at this point, there's atmosphere pushing down on top of this plastic. There's atmosphere pushing all around the cylinder, but there is no atmosphere between the plastic and the water inside of the cylinder. And what's cool about that is, remember I told you that the atmosphere is crazy strong. And so at this point, the atmosphere will hold the plastic on there for me. And I don't have to worry about it spilling or dripping out or whatever. So we could just sort of flip this thing upside down, and the mass of water that we have here is not large enough to overcome the pressure of the atmosphere pushing up against the card. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to submerge just the tip in there, and I can go ahead and pull this out, and you'll notice that the water has stayed inside of the cylinder quite nicely. And so there's no air in there. So what we'll do is we're going to take the lighter and we're going to submerge the lighter in here, and we're going to start filling the syringe with butane. So we're going to bubble it through, if I can get my fat hands underneath this. So we start the bubbles and we see that the bubbles begin, and then it just becomes patience. We just need patience here. Sometimes we can speed this up a little bit. Let me see if I can speed it up. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You can adjust the lighters so that they get a bigger flame, which usually spells more gas, but this seems to be kind of maxed out already. Let's see if I can get it to turn a little bit more just to speed up the process here. Okay, so let's see if that did anything. It might not have. Might be all the way open. Oh, it's worse. We could be standing here for a while. There we go. That's better. So as we collect this, we see that the gas is starting to get a nice pocket up here. And we're going to keep going. We're going to collect a pretty large volume, and we can measure the exact volume since this is a graduated cylinder. But gas is actually really, really light, so I need to use quite a bit of this in order to get a significant measurement change on the scale. So I'm going to go probably for like 80 to 90 milliliters, somewhere around in there. We don't want to aim for 100 milliliters because that's the last measurement on this graduate. And if you go a little bit past it, then you can't read the value anymore. Just keep on being patient. Okay, I'm going to switch hands here. Where are we at? So we're around 55 right now, so I'm going to go a little bit more. Almost to 80. We'll probably stop a little past 80. Okay. All right, so what we want to do now is just try and read the graduated cylinder. You guys aren't going to have a very easy time of that, so I'll just read it for you. It's hard enough for me to read, to be quite honest. So we got to keep this thing kind of level. I'll just come down and read it from the side. I think that'll probably be easier. So we're at 80. Man, it's like right on 85. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I'd say let's go 85.0 on this. 85.0. So this is floating a little bit now, and that's okay. So record the 85.0 for the volume of gas collected. Milliliters. So now what we need to do is take our butane lighter and we need to weigh that. We need to try and figure out how much of the butane was used. Now the problem is our lighter is all wet, so we have to try and get this thing as dry as we can. So we're gonna dry it off as best we can. There's a little bit that we can't get dry. There's a little bit of moisture that has soaked into the sticker here, but it's not very much, and hopefully it won't create too large of an error. But there really isn't a way for us to get zero error because of that. So when I shake it, we can see that there's water that's trapped inside of there. So usually what I do is I'll just kind of clean up. I just keep on shaking it until I don't get any more water coming out of it. Okay, so we can go ahead. It looks like it's coming out pretty clean. Let's come on over to the scale and see what we get with the scale. Now we're not going to write this first one down right away. What we're going to do is we're going to weigh it and we're going to see what it is, and then we're going to shake it a little bit more and see if that changes. So we're at 10.49. But I'm not sure if I got all the water off of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take it off. I'm going to dry it a little bit more. I'm going to shake it a little bit more, and then I'm going to put it back on the scale. And if it stays the same, then we know we pretty much got all the water out of it. Looks like we're good at 10.49. Okay, so at this point we have the final mass of the lighter. And so we're able to subtract those two to figure out the grams that were used. Now there's a couple more pieces of information that we need before we move on, and that is some temperatures. So if we look back at our cylinder here, we know that the substance, the gas that we collected, was bubbled through water. And so the temperature of our gas is going to be pretty much the same as the temperature of the water itself. And so we actually have two measurements that we need to take. One, we need to take today's air pressure, and so we'll be using the barometer for that. So I have the instrument here. I don't want to put it in the water, so we'll do our best to clean some of this up. And I'm also going to get the temperature of the water itself. So we'll go ahead and throw that probe in there. We're going to take a quick look at today's air pressure, and we're going to get the temperature recorded as well. So we should see both of those pretty clearly. We have our temperature up on top, and we have today's air pressure. Now, because the AC is on and I'm moving around in the classroom and things like that are happening, this is never going to be completely even. Sorry, we got a dumpster going by. So for this, let's see, 765 point. Let's see if it tends to hang out on something for a minute. I keep seeing 6.6. I'm going to go with 6.6. MMHG. All right, so with that, you should have all of the information you need to slowly start working your way through that lab. Let me know if you guys are having any troubles and I'll help you out.